Big shout out to Resender Powell. We just finished recording a podcast, and that was actually just beyond insightful, informative, amazing. So thankful for that time. Guys, I can't wait to have it out. Hopefully tomorrow, definitely on Sunday, we're going to have the Do I Have Diabetes podcast and risk factors, management, how to get off those diabetes meds. It is possible 100%. Talking about those type 2 diabetics, talking about pre-diabetes scares. Guys, we've got experts in the field speaking on this. Podcast coming soon. Stay tuned. All right, here we go, recording, and welcome back to the channel, everybody. This is Dr. Jonathan Perlman from Paramount Chiropractic and Wellness. And tonight what I wanted to do is make a quick prelim video. This is the preface or preliminary recording to the actual podcast coming up with my good friend Kat from La Dolce Vita Nutrition. She is a holistic dietitian and a nutrition expert, and we are going to be, obviously, as I've continued to say, going over my report card, because when I got my blood work back recently, which the whole idea was to prove that a ketogenic diet, or we'll just call it low carb ketogenic, not the same thing, but for all intents and purposes of what I was trying to prove, especially heavy and saturated fat and animal products, i.e. organic beef, lamb, some chicken, but not really. We'll get into that later. Eggs does not cause plaqued arteries, or is not going to give you a heart attack or block all your arteries. And not only do I have the tests to prove that now, as we're going to go over in detail in the podcast, but then you saw me make my video that had the continued glucose monitor that I had been prescribed, if you will, by my functional medicine doctor. And the reason that I did this was because I was having some scary symptoms, including a little bit of weight gain in recent months, that was leading me down the road to saying, am I becoming pre-diabetic again? Like, why am I feeling tired? Why am I intolerant to certain carbohydrates? So I ended up getting the blood work back, and it revealed that I had a pretty high fasting glucose, and I was a little disappointed to see this. I can't say I was shocked, but definitely disappointed at the number, which was, I believe, 98. And my A1C was like 5 point something, which means, I was in the pre-diabetic range. So I ended up saying, well, how can I get real-time data to know rather than just relying on one lab test? And this is going to be discussed in the podcast, but I want to show you something that's really important. I think this is super cool in a way for everyone out there who's concerned about potential diabetes, if it runs in your family, if you are having trouble maybe shedding some weight or just not feeling your best, or maybe you think you're eating a good diet or you're eating some clean diet, and having that everything in moderation kind of idea as to desserts or beer. I want to show you something that's going to really, it should resonate with some people, and you got to understand why I'm so against this moderation of eating desserts, if you will. So check this out. I'm going to screen share this and hope I don't completely botch it up. But what this is doing is I printed out me taking my glucose that you can see, every few minutes, all the way to a couple of hours out, depending on the situation. Well, what I did was at 5:15, okay, so 5:12 p.m. here, the first day I had the glucose monitor, right? Okay, at 5:15 p.m., 1 hour after having a Snickers bar at my office, excuse me, so this 5:12, this is actually half an hour after a Snickers bar at my office. This is a full 200 whatever calorie Snickers bar. My blood glucose goes to 120. Hey, no big thing, whatever. But then an hour after, see here at 5:20, we have a 139. So this is quite high. This is starting to get to that upper range of me not wanting to ever exceed 160. My range was going to be 80 to 160 in terms of my blood glucose range that I kind of wanted to stay in and never see it exceed. Now this is getting high over here about an hour after a candy bar to 139. And as you can see, it hovers around 170, 117, not too far after that. And then here you go, it's dropping down into the hundreds. That's cool. But here's where the part gets scary. And here's where I'm really advocating for, people to understand kind of the dangers of everything in moderation. Is if you go to my continued glucose monitor, day 2, and this comes up here. Here we are, April 27th, the following morning. Well, here I am waking up at 5:40 something in the morning, over 100. I'm showing you 101, 105, 106. This is laying in bed, waking up. going to 117, before I'm even out and about. And I think this is actually with like some coffee, or maybe I went for a power walk or something where it drops down to into the 80s. And then again, we're just under 100 here as the morning goes on. But waking up at 106 and 105, that's not something that's ideal at all. I'd really like to wake up in the 80s, for me, optimally to be healthy, in my opinion. And I'm going to get all into all this in the podcast in detail. So here's the thing now. We're going to X out of this. And again, we're going to go to day 3. Now, this is following, the third day. So here we go, April 29th. Now, this is following not touching a Snickers bar, not having a bite of dessert, kind of getting on my more standard diet of beef, eggs, avocado, things of this nature. Well, here I am. As you can see, I took my blood glucose when I woke up in the early morning at 3:40 something. But then again at 6:39, here I am rising 885, 91, 97. We're very well under 100 established as I'm moving around throughout the morning. And here I am eating, and my first bites of food at 7:15 a.m. I don't necessarily have the data here. See if it still. No, this is April 30th. I was going to say what the data would look like after. But again, I'm going to show you again. Here we are waking up in the morning, 5:11, a.m., 99, 7:44, 89. So again, we're under 100 in waking conditions, fasting glucose. And as we move out farther again, here we go, May 2nd, in the 90s below here. But I want to show you again, here I am eating a half an hour post-prandial. It goes up, that means a post-first bite. I'm over here at 106 and 100. This is fine, but then it's coming down into the 90s again. That's what the point is here. It's coming down into the 90s. And it never really even goes up above. Even if you see here, 113, 111, and these notations here are when I ate and the meals that I ate. And again, well, now it's just skipping around and going back to the 26th. Excuse me, as it jumps around. But again, if we look at May 1st, here it is, 84, 103, 111, 113. I'm not concerned about that at all. If we look at these other days, May 2nd, 106, 106, going back down into the 90s. Here it is at 100, going back down to 95 as, again, my computer's glitching like crazy. So hopefully you see all of this, because if you think about it, back at April 26th, 27th, look at that 139, 127, 122. That's staying very high after a candy bar. So I'm going to stop the share here. So I just want you to show, I just wanted to cover and show that's real-time data. That is tracking how your blood sugar is responding to various scenarios, whether it's at rest, first thing when you wake up, exercise. Matter of fact, there's another part in the log over there where I show as I was doing a light jog, it dropped down to about 85 and stay stable in the 80s until I had, a little bit of food later on that evening and going up to about 106, 116. And again, that's fine. And dropping back down into the 90s and hovering around that like 92, 94. That's what I noticed is really like my resting baseline glucose is probably between like 92 to 96, but I was waking up in the 80s when I wasn't enjoying sweets, and in particular things like candy bars. So I really encourage everyone out there who's been told that they're pre-diabetic, or it's been suggested to them that maybe they should start a trial of insulin or metformin, and I want people to, be healthy. I want them to be in charge of their health. I want them to take control of their health. I want you all out there to be in control of your health. And the things that start happening when you're using exogenous or what has been told to you might be necessary medications to manage, potential diabetes. A lot of that, type 2 diabetes is reversible. There are many people who have gotten off all of their medication and back in control of their diet and lifestyle, or a diet should be a lifestyle, as such as the point where I had a Snickers bar and it totally ruined, my blood sugar and the way that my body was utilizing its, the blood sugar and energy appropriately. There's so much more detail. There's so much more that goes into this, but I really wanted to share that with everybody tonight in hopes that you're ready for the podcast coming up next week. Again, the purpose of this channel is not to promote anything. It is to share, my experiences, some patient experiences, and let you know like these situations and opportunities exist to take care of yourself naturally. Natural health and wellness, natural healing, least invasive first, before we're, you know, taking medicine for the rest of our lives every day, to, potentially, make no changes. Let's get healthy. Now's the time, if any. Guys, I hope that was cool. I hope that was understandable. And until next time, everybody, it's Dr. Perlman.